is, I think it's the 2nd of February. I came over to the allotment to pull up some leeks to make soup for lunch. It was a little bit sunny earlier, but now the rain's setting in again and there's going to be storms later. So not much to do except sit and contemplate, I guess. I think I have to remove this wire protection. The beans that didn't get under the wire have not been ravaged by pigeons, and at least one of them is growing so big that it really doesn't make sense to cover it with wire anymore. What am I going to do about the chickweed? I don't know. It's only a very inoffensive little low ground cover kind of a plant, and I've been reading about it on the internet, and it seems that you can actually eat chickweed. I picked a little piece of chickweed here to demonstrate the qualities of it by which you can recognise it. It's quite a tiny weed, really. As a food source, I don't think it's going to be incredibly satisfying. But the ways by which you recognise it, well, it grows out in a rosette. It sends out these stalks round in a circle, really. The leaves are like heart-shaped, like that, and they grow in pairs. There's a pair, and then there's another pair. And as you go up the stem, the pairs are opposite each other. Can you see on that lower section of stalk, on the left, going down the stalk, there's a line of hairs just getting picked up by the light. If I turn the stalk, you can see then there's another line of hairs on the next section of stalk. There, it's going out of focus again. Such a tiny plant. So you pull the stalk, and inside there's an inner sort of core that becomes visible once it's snapped. Okay, I had enough of fiddling with manual focus on tiny little plants. I have a feeling I'm not going to be eating too much chickweed, which is a shame, but I'll give it a try. It might taste interesting, you never know. And the other thing I'm contemplating from my shed door is the joster berries. We transplanted 2 bushes that had been in the back garden, growing against a wall where they never really did anything. And as soon as they landed in the allotment with some air and space around them, they took off like a rocket and produced masses of berries. So when one of the branches laid itself close to the ground, I thought, oh goody, I can layer it and make some more plants. So over there's like an underground branch of this particular plant sending up new shoots. The only problem then is, how do I separate those from the mother plant, because they're really too close? I'm going to have to hack them off and dig them out of the ground and replant them somewhere. The original bushes also rather desperately need pruning, and I bought some wonderful new pruners, but it's so wet I don't think I could do it at the moment. I've been learning quite a lot about other people's methods of gardening for less effort, so we've started to put mulch down. Charles Dowding is an exponent of mulch gardening, but he makes masses of compost. He may even import some, I don't know, and he layers down layers and layers of compost every year, which just kills all the native weeds and allows him to plant the plants of his choice. But there are other people, such as Fukuoka, or Fukuoka, however you pronounce it in Japanese, who wrote the book, The One Straw Revolution, and Ruth somebody in America as well, who also seemed to do something similar to Fukuoka, where you really don't intervene any more than absolutely necessary. So you don't dig, you don't plant and nurture the little seedlings, you throw the seeds on the ground, you gaily wait for them to come up, and if they come up, they come up, and if they don't, well, they didn't want to grow there anyway. There's got to be more to it than that, and so I'm really going to study it a bit more and see if there's any way it can apply to my allotment, because I don't like hard work. Who likes hard work? It'd be nice to sit here in my shed and just contemplate things growing and occasionally go out and pluck something out that I don't want to be there and scatter a few seeds and cover them with straw and everything will come up roses. Except it won't be roses, will it? There's my little bunch of chickweed. I've thrown it in on top of the leek soup. I'm going to liquidize it all together. And there's a few sprigs to decorate. I did taste them. I can't tell you what it tastes of. It tastes like something you can eat though. Newly made bread. And the other guru, teacher person, is the Austrian Sepp Holzer, who everybody quotes saying he invented hugelkultur, or hugelkultur, whatever you call it. And this is supposed to be a wonderful way of growing stuff, which I can't see the point of. And it may be that Sepp Holzer has reasons for doing it where he is, on his mountain slope, and growing what he's growing. It seems like a lot of work to dig a huge trench, fill it up with pieces of old wood, and then heap up lots of other stuff on top of it, and then cover it with a layer of compost. And when you look at what Sepp Holzer was doing, he actually covers his heap with twigs, and he pegs the twigs into the sides to stop the earth from falling off, and then he grows stuff on it. And it's supposed to save space, and is supposed to create microclimates and conserve water. Microclimates might be useful. You can do that by planting shrubs, I would think. You wouldn't have to go to the trouble of digging a trench and filling it with old logs, but I'm looking into that as well. And I may try a hugel. So it's looking so green because it's leek soup and it had got added chickweed. So I'd be interested to know what you think of it. Oh, it's also got a bit of mashed potato and mashed squash in it.
Chickweed.
Chickweed.
Or perhaps
Cheep, 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 cheep.
Cheap, yes, cheap at half the price.
Well, it is cheap, yes. It's quite weedy as well.
Right. Tastes like grass. Oh, it's not nice.
And then there's Bill Mollison, who inspired me years ago with his wonderful vision of abundance for hardly any work. But when you look at these successful permaculture landscapes, I'm convinced they're mostly in hotter climates. And I remain to be convinced that that sort of thing produces noticeably better results in somewhere like the UK. There are permaculturists here, and I think most of them are just running courses rather than demonstrating how it can be done. I may be wrong. Shoot me down in flames. Go on. Tell me about permaculture that works. Oh, that's another thing. You see, permaculturists talk about food forests. Now, when you look around the UK at the forests, well, we have woods. I'm not sure we have many forests. They are mostly deciduous trees or plantations of conifer type trees. The natural ones are deciduous, and they're not food trees. So if you're going to make a food forest, you have to plant all the trees yourself, and they have to be trees that produce food. Another characteristic that I've noticed of the local woods is that things don't actually grow underneath. So all this stuff about understories, and you've got the big trees, the canopies, and then under that you've got the understories. I can't see how that's going to work with an actual forest. You could plant some taller trees, fruit trees like cherries and plums and apples, and then near them, but not directly underneath them, you could plant gooseberry bushes and stuff. And then your vegetables, I don't see how you can get away from the idea of keeping the vegetables in their own patch of land, because they need sun. They're not going to grow and compete with gooseberry bushes and things. So yeah, a lot to learn there. I'll keep you posted. Have a nice day.